Oh, here. Excellent. Okay. Well, welcome, guests to the Montana Dietetic Internship and Graduate Program Open House. We are so excited you're here and excited to speak with you about the program. I'm Lindsay Ganong, and I'm one of the co-directors of the program. I'm the Graduate Education and Clinical Supervised Practice Lead.
I'm Anna Diffendofer, and I work more with the operations and sustainable food systems and community and food service management rotations and co-direct with Lindsay.
And I'm Kira Bartley. I'm the assistant director, so I help with a little bit of everything.
All right, so we're very excited to offer a master's in dietetic systems leadership in coordination with our dietetic internship, which has a focus area in sustainable food systems. And we developed those very intentionally together to help individuals really develop the critical thinking and the systems thinking perspective, and then integrate that sustainable food systems lens into their careers and become change makers in the profession and hopefully see some really wonderful improvements in health outcomes and the way that we approach health as dietitians.
So the program has a vision which hopes to develop emerging professionals. And so our aim is to foster development of confident learners who really are able to think outside the box. And so you'll see throughout this presentation that the way the curriculum has been designed, the focus areas, and the way in which we approach supervised practice offers students opportunities to really dig in and experience sustainable food systems, experience all those areas of dietetic practice in hopes that by the time they are graduating, they are leaders in food and nutrition and ready to really come up with some new solutions to some of these, what we oftentimes call wicked or complex problems that the world really hasn't figured out yet in light of things like climate change and the health status of folks that we're trying to serve. So we welcome you to kind of come along the ride with this open house and see how that vision really comes to life.
And our hope is to, throughout the program, develop students that, will be able to discover and develop their passions and really hone in on what they're passionate about within nutrition. We also value development of the whole person. So both, students as their whole selves as well as professionals. We also value transdisciplinary thinking. So we want to expose our students to a bunch of experiences that will cultivate transdisciplinary inquiry and systems thinking. And we really value working towards a more just, inclusive, and livable future. So yeah, throughout this presentation, we'll give some examples of how we, try to expose students to all these various things and work towards these values in our program.
So the program overview is inclusive of two different pathways. So we have an MS and DI, a 2-year program, which is a master's in dietetic systems leadership. And we also have DI only, which is inclusive of like the 2nd year, the dietetic internship and supervised practice year of that MSDI. So this cohort that we're selecting for right now is the 25 to 27 cohort that would begin in fall 2025, and that is a change. Previously, the program had begun in the spring, or excuse me, in the summer. So it is a fall 2025 start with 1 year of online coursework, and that includes fall and spring semesters, and for some students, it could include summer elective courses. Then the 2nd year is the 26-27 year, and that's the dietetic internship year, which takes place in Montana or Wyoming. And the dietetic internship has focus area in either sustainable food systems. Everyone will get that focus, and as well as the weight inclusive care. And then there are options to really dive into Indigenous and rural health and community food access. So the internship year is 2 semesters, the final 2 semesters, 36 weeks of supervised practice. And like I said, that part is in person in Montana or in Sheridan, Wyoming.
And these are the program logistics. So we've designed a program so that individuals who wish to work in the first year of the program can continue to do so. We do start off with a 3-day orientation in person in Bozeman. This coming year, it's August 5th through 7th. And our hope for that is to, bring the class together, really see each other face to face, where that first year is all online. So it's the fall and spring semester, as Lindsay mentioned, and then option to do electives in the summer. So yeah, you can remain in your home community for the first year. And those classes are a mix of synchronous and asynchronous. So our hope is that your schedule can be flexible in that first year. And we just ask that you have reliable access to internet for that. And then the supervised practice begins the following year in August of 2026, where you'll travel to Bozeman for orientation and professional development weeks. These range from 5 to 11 weeks that you'll need to be in the Bozeman area before you go off to your various sites, whether that's Kalispell, Missoula, Butte, Great Falls, Helena, or Billings. And then we also have the option for Sheridan, Wyoming, for those folks that want to seek that out.
So the curriculum begins with 4 foundational classes, and it's in a cohort-based model, meaning that everyone that's admitted for the 25 to 27 year will go through the same coursework together, with the exception of a few electives. So everyone will take Research Methods 1 in the fall and Research Methods 2 in the spring, and that's really to help folks get a foundation in those research skills in preparation for their professional practice. Everyone will also take a course called Critical Thinking, Research and Evidence-Informed Practice, and that's a foundation in weight science, looking at nutrition care and weight inclusive practices, and where students get to look at the evidence and really decide for themselves how they want to approach care. Advanced Medical Nutrition Therapy is the other required course, and that's in spring of that first year. We hear from students that it takes about 20 to 30 hours a week of coursework and assignments to move through that coursework year. And most folks are working, but it's typically about 30 hours a week. We hear from students that most folks aren't working full-time. And the program of study is for professional non-thesis masters, meaning that it's the coursework plus that second year of supervised practice and the professional project, which make up the whole program. There is no thesis requirement for this master's degree. And what you might expect from the coursework includes lots of collaborative group projects, maybe posting on discussion boards, and synchronous classes are going to have a weekly class time, whereas asynchronous classes are going to be no class times at all. The second year of coursework includes, the first year of coursework includes some electives. So everyone will take 1 policy elective or at least 3 credits of a policy elective. And that can be family law and public policy, which is the summer course, or it could be state of the environment, policy, measurement, and practice, which is a spring course. Both of these really take a look at policy, but in different ways. Family law and public policy allows students to dive into what is public policy, why does it matter to dietitians, and they get to do a project which they can choose a food or nutrition related policy to write their final paper on. Whereas State of the Environment is a class that really dives into food policy in the US, and that's the textbook. And the second textbook is about sustainable diets. And so that class is one for students who are really interested in sustainable food systems and sustainable diets, where they get to dig into the research kind of informing sustainable diets. So everyone chooses at least one of those 2 classes and then 1 other elective. They could choose both of the policy courses as their 6 credits, or 1 other class in any of the others listed below. Advanced Food Systems Management, which is like food service and management, nutrition education and counseling, which is a brand new course we're bringing online in the fall, global food perspectives, which is another sustainable food and bioenergy systems course, food innovation and entrepreneurship, which is for students who are interested in doing a group project to develop a food product based that is based on foods that are more environmentally sustainable and local to Montana. It's in collaboration with the Food Product Development Lab on campus. And then there are a few other options in nursing and community health. So program planning and evaluation of outcomes, healthcare informatics, advanced diet and disease is a class that's in the summer. And that one's really focused on sustainable development goals and how do you plan a public health nutrition intervention class. And we've actually just changed the name of that class. It's now Nutrition, Public Policy, and Systems Change. So that's what Nutrition 520 is. And then there are just a few other community health options that are focused on aging and mental health and social issues in aging that are available as the other electives. So these are where students can really start developing their passions, where they can take classes that are interdisciplinary with students from other course areas, as opposed to the classes on the past slide were in cohort. So those are just dietetic students in those classes often. And sometimes there are study abroad options as well. And so those will be marketed as they become available. And then the final year is the dietetic internship year. And so that is 18 credits as well. So there's 18 credits in the first year, 18 credits in the second year, total of 36 credits. And the internship year includes 3 credits in food systems leadership. And Anna's going to talk all about what that looks like. That's what we call our sustainable food systems applied weeks. And everyone will do 2 weeks dedicated to that. Then internship is both semesters and professional project is both semesters. And the way we handle those courses are that internship is 35 hours a week minimum for 36 weeks. And so that's happening all the time. And then there's one class period where we'll cover both internship topics and professional project topics. So internship is 4.5 days a week. And then one afternoon a week, we're all going to come together to do 598/575 class, the internship and professional project items.
All right, so now what does year 2 look like? This is the supervised practice, and we're going to go into an overview of what that second year looks like, and Kira will give us some philosophies related to that.
Yeah, so in line with that program value, we have working towards a more just, inclusive, and livable future, and also in alignment with our College of Education, Health, and Human Development. We're dedicated to creating an environment that fosters diversity, equity, and inclusion. We require students to participate in activities to promote systems thinking and diversity, equity, inclusion in healthcare specifically. So this is a focus during the orientation groups and then throughout the program as well, but we ask for your curiosity, reflection, integration, growth, and openness to these variety of experiences that include healthcare, LGBTQ+ allies training, sustainable food systems topics, food industry sponsored tours, weight inclusive nutrition care, Indian education for all, which Lindsay will go into a bit more in depth. And certainly reach out to any of us 3 if you'd like more resources to learn about how we address these topics and how they're related to the field in general.
So as Kira described, we offer opportunities for students to grow in knowledge in several areas of diversity, equity, and inclusion. And we also want to acknowledge that many of the comprehensive critical care areas where students are working serve Montana's Indigenous people too. And so Montana is home to the colored areas of this map are the traditional homelands of several of the tribal nations that are still in Montana today. And there are reservations where we have some partnerships with rotations there too. And so we just want to acknowledge that Montana is traditional homelands of many tribal nations, and we are really working on creating opportunities for students to serve those communities. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that on the next slide, which are Caring for Indigenous Montana modules. And these are newly created by our area health education office, which focuses on rural health. And knowledge keepers from each of these nations came together to create modules to learn about the tribal nations, their ideas and customs around health, and how to best work cross-culturally with Indigenous people in Montana, because they are such a big part of this state and the healthcare we'll provide. So you can look forward to diving into some of these modules that will be assigned based on the area where your major clinical practice will be. And then there are also some opportunities to rotate in Indigenous communities. So just a few small examples for folks who are in Kalispell or Great Falls major placement, who have an interest in Indigenous food systems and healthcare. They may get to go to the Blackfeet Nation for 4 weeks, 2 weeks with Fast Blackfeet, Food Access and Sustainability Team, a really cool food access site, and then 2 weeks with Blackfeet Community Hospital, and housing is provided for these type of really immersive experiences. We also have partnership with St. Ignatius, the Confederated Salish Kootenai tribes and tribal health. That's primarily diabetes and endocrine related rotation, and that's just north of Missoula. A lot of times students assigned there will just commute up there like about 40 minutes a day. Billings area folks may be able to go to Hardin, which is just north of the Crow Reservation, the Apsalica people. And there's a farm to school rotation that's hybrid with the person who runs the farm to school program is also the executive director of the food pantry. So interns get to do a joint rotation there. And then we also have a new relationship with Yellowbird Lifeway Center in Northern Cheyenne in Lame Deer. And students rotate there for 2 weeks, working on like social media presence, personal garden installation, and the food sovereignty efforts going on there. And then finally, Buffalo Nation's Food Systems Initiative is an initiative happening here at MSU that is a research and education initiative that students will have a 2-week rotation with if it's something that they're super interested in as well. So those are some ways that you might intersect with our Indigenous communities throughout that second year.
Right. So looking at some of the logistical layout of how we go through that second year together, we bring everyone together into the Bozeman area. Oh, can you go back real quick? For the first 3 weeks, and Kira will describe this and kind of show how it looks in that next table. But during this time, we focus on professional development topics. We have a clinical skills workshop, and we integrate sustainable food systems foundation topics. So when people come to our program, primarily for the interest in sustainable food systems, they're from all over the country and with varying degrees of experience and interest and skills and knowledge of sustainable food systems topics. And so we spend about half our time during these first 3 weeks taking tours of our food system and working on projects with community partners related to food systems initiatives and a variety of different things where you get exposure and we learn from each other and each other's experiences and kind of build that foundational knowledge of what is sustainable food systems and how does that relate to the profession and maybe what you're going to be doing in your rotations and then into your career. So we also generally have a team building day. So these are some fun pictures from that time period. There is some in-class time, so time spent in the classroom, learning about different topics and some of the professional development work. And then again, that clinical skills workshop where we're integrating some of those new competencies, including blood pressure monitoring and some other new and emerging skills that dietitians will be practicing. And then that's an example of us working at a school lunch program as a team and over in our Livingston community.
Yeah, so here's a sample schedule and the breakdown. In weeks 1 through 3, you'll, again, be in Bozeman doing that professional development in the classroom, and the Sustainable Foods Foundation, doing the tours and everything that Anna mentioned, all those lovely workshops. And then weeks 4 and 5, you are still in Bozeman for the Sustainable Foods Applied. So the larger class will break off into groups, and you'll go into those rotations and smaller groups to have some more hands-on experience there. So again, you'll have to plan for 5 to 11 weeks of supervised practice in the Bozeman area, and then you go off to your placement locations throughout the state or in Sheridan, Wyoming. Unfortunately, in Bozeman, we can't offer a full track placement for the whole course of supervised practice, as we don't have the clinical rotations to support your learning throughout that. So the major clinicals are where all of those stars are on the map.
Okay, so looking at those sustainable food systems applied weeks, like Kira said, we break the larger cohort that we've spent those first 3 weeks together down into 2 different groups. And so weeks 4 and 5, I'll have half of the group. Can you go back again? And then weeks 5 and 6, I'll have the second group. And so during those off weeks where you're not in those applied weeks, you'll be doing different rotations in the Bozeman area, in and around either Livingston or Bozeman, typically. So during the Sustainable Food Systems Applied Weeks, we have several things that we do. It is a 3-credit course in about 2 weeks, so it's fast and furious, but we're able to accomplish that because we're spending days together. So they're full 35-hour weeks. We have a variety of different things that we accomplish during that time. Particularly, we spend a full day on food preservation. So we learn all about canning and pressure canning and fermenting foods. And so that's usually a very well received and fun time, and everyone leaves with a whole bunch of stuff to take off with them into their different rotations. We do spend about 12 hours a week working at our student farms. So the 2 pictures on the right there are the interns working at our organic, sustainable campus farm and doing everything from working out into the field and then working the different markets. So we have a CSA program, and we have which is community supported agriculture, where people buy produce boxes weekly. It's a subscription program, and they can come every week and receive their vegetables. And there's a campus farm stand as well. And so we set up a farmer's market on campus, and that's always a lot of fun to work too. And then we spend a lot of time in our food lab, which we're very blessed to have a beautiful food lab, and we do a lot of cooking. So we'll take stuff from produce from the farm and integrate that with other local foods that we have available in Montana, and do a lot of cooking during that time too. And one thing that I'll talk about here in just one second is this lunch and learn. So it's not just cooking to eat, it's cooking to learn as well. And so I'll talk about that here in just one second. One other major component that we do during this time is our culinary medicine program. And we've had this program going since 2017. And so we were leaders and still are in this space where these are the four tenets that are the foundation of this program. First and foremost, it's interprofessional. So we're working with our medical students and our nursing students and sometimes other allied health students as well. And it's innovative and experiential. It's imparting nutrition education and culinary skills. So we know the evidence shows that when healthcare providers have personal culinary skills and they love cooking and make that a priority in their lives, they're more likely to talk to their patients about it. And so it's really important for all of these different things for us to provide a little bit of nutrition education, and the interns do that, and to really highlight who the dietitians are as part of the healthcare team. And so that's our opportunity to do that as well. Another topic or another component of those applied weeks are that hot topic lunch and learn. And so this is where there'll be maybe 3 presenters and a day, and then the rest of the group will make lunch for us. So the charge with this project is to choose a topic that related to sustainable food systems and nutrition, something that you're curious about, something that you want to learn about, that you already know a lot about, that you want to teach the rest of us, or something that just really lights you up, something that maybe you've seen in the news that really struck a chord with you and you want to explore. And so this is how we're able to, in 2 weeks, learn such a variety of different sustainable food systems topics, because you are becoming the expert in that topic and then teaching the rest of us. And so we get to really learn, and us as directors learn all the time from your work and efforts during the lunch and learns. So it's a lot of fun. And we eat really, really well during that time.
So after the sustainable food systems rotation, you may have a few other rotations in the Bozeman area, but like Kira said, Bozeman can't support a whole track. So that's when folks are moving to either Kalispell, Great Falls, Billings, Helena, Missoula, Butte, or Sheridan, Wyoming. Often folks will ask, well, could I just commute? And these slides are meant to give you a sense of how big the state is. From Bozeman to Billings is an hour and a half. From Bozeman to Butte is an hour, hour and a half to Helena, not a commutable distance. So folks should really plan on moving to the Bozeman area and then to their major area to finish their track after that. So it's gorgeous. This is a photo of the Going to the Sun Road in Glacier, which is kind of between Kalispell and Great Falls. And this is a picture of what it might look like in late August of some years on that road. So definitely making sure that folks know to plan for travel, have really a reliable insured car, and just know that winter driving is a part of this program, and folks you know, have survived it for many years. But for some people coming from warm places, we know that might be an adjustment. And every year we have folks from warm places who make that adjustment. So just letting folks know what to really expect.
All right. So what does it look like when you go out into the rest of your track? We keep referring to the rest of your track. So again, the 2 weeks during orientation spent all together is the big group, then the 2 weeks of applied, and those count as the 36 weeks and 1,050 hours toward your 1,000 minimum that Ascend requires you to have. Then we ask your preferences. So we send out a survey, and we're in this process right now with the interns who will be starting their program, their supervised practice in August, finding out where your interests are. What do you want to explore? Where do you want to emphasize during your program? And so we can tailor, we have enough options that we can tailor your program as best as we can to your interest areas. There are certain numbers of weeks that we require of everyone. And so this is kind of a why there's a range. Because if you're very clinically focused and you that's where you want to emphasize, we can make that happen for you. You're still going to experience community nutrition and you're still going to experience food service management, but we can make your rotation track clinically heavy if that's your interest. Conversely, if you wanted to spend more time in community, we can do that as well. We do, again, have those minimums that we require so that you're gaining the skills and the competencies that you need in each of those areas of practice. So clinical nutrition can look anywhere between 12 to 18 weeks in comprehensive care facilities, which are our larger facilities. And that's why we have the placements where they are, because that's where those facilities are located, anywhere from 9 to 11 weeks. We do have experiences in rural hospitals, in VA clinics, in Indian Health Service, critical access hospitals. We have long-term care and dialysis rotations. So you may be spending anywhere between 3 and 7 weeks in any of those different kind of experiences as well. Community nutrition, we have WIC, which is the Women, Infants, and Children program rotations. We have food access programs. So we have several relationships built with food banks and food pantries around the state. Organizations who are working in food systems development. There are several nonprofits that we work with, and then farm to school organizations as well. And so then, again, based on your preferences and your interests, we would do our best to get those experiences for you, anywhere between 6 to 12 weeks. And then food service management, everyone does spend 2 weeks in hospital food service and 2 weeks in a K-12 or university food service, and getting exposure to that food service management piece where you're learning about ordering, HR, all of the aspects of managing a food service operation, anywhere between 4 to 7 weeks. And then we have our self-select weeks where you get to put your mark on the internship experience. So you can choose whatever you would like during those 2 weeks. And it's driven by the intern and set up and established by the intern, and we're here to support and offer resources where it's helpful. And then we do have 1 week of graduation that is hybrid. We love everyone to come back to the Bozeman area and come back together as a big group. And we find that 70 to 90% of our class typically does, depending on where they're based. And then we offer the same experiences virtually as well for those students who may have gone home to their home communities during self-select, and it's not feasible for them to come back to Bozeman for that final week. But that final week is required. It is a part of the hours that we count. All of the experiences across all the tracks are comparable. They're not going to be exact. They're not going to look the same. They're going to be quite varied, as a matter of fact, but they're going to be comparable experiences. So somebody may rotate in a K-12 system, and somebody else may rotate with university food services here on Bozeman campus, but they're both food service management focused. And that's what we mean by comparable. And these are more fun pictures of interns in operation. And I think this one is more fun pictures, just to kind of show the variety of different things that we do and how much fun we have together as a group.
All right, so now that we've told you all about the program, we can get into some application logistics. So early select already happened, so you can maybe just ignore that half of the slide. That's for our MSU graduates. But for national selection in this next round, your DICUS application will be due by February 9th. And then we'll have a pretty quick turnaround for Zoom interviews to begin on the 11th of February. We'll have a decision after that interview process to you by February 28th. And then following that, your decision to attend, and $1,000 non-refundable deposit is needed by March 21st to secure that spot for you.
So what are we looking for? We require for the MSDI, everyone needs to come in with a bachelor's degree and a DPD, a didactic program and dietetics verification statement. There's an application fee, and that is separate from the DICUS fee. So MSU has its own application fee you can pay online. It's $57 on our website. And that's also separate from the Montana State University graduate school application. No one needs to do the graduate school application until after we go through the selection process internally. So the MDI website has the link for the application fee. GREs are not required, not even encouraged really, but if folks want to send them, the code is there. And then within the DICUS application, we ask for 3 references. And those should be professional references from dietetics professionals, faculty, or employers. For the DI only applicants, those are folks who would be applying to the 25-26 DI year or the 26-27 DI year. And that's a graduate certificate for folks who already have their master's degree completed and just need the supervised practice hours. We also, because we are a dietetic internship, folks can only be considered who hold that DPD, the didactic program and dietetics verification statement. Same process for the application fee and the DICUS application, and same timeline. So we're following the national traffic rules that will make offers on the 28th of February or notify folks if they have not been admitted. And then everyone is asked to let programs know by March 15th. And for those who acknowledge on March 15th, they'd like to join the program, then there's 1 more week until that $1,000 deposit is due. Okay, and then the personal statement. So this is the 40% of folks application rating. So we have a whole committee look at everyone's applications, and the personal statement is, let's see, 6 items here that we ask everyone to speak to. And we ask that it be in a narrative style, meaning that you're not listing the answer to each of the prompts in sequence. Rather, you're telling us a story about who you are, why this program's a good fit for you, how sustainable food systems focus area is particularly of interest, how you as a person and your experiences have really prepared you for success in this program specifically, and how this program is going to support you in being the dietitian that you envision yourself to be. We also ask that you let us know your top preferred regions, and then in your interview, we'll talk to you about why are those regions a good fit. Do you have folks there that you can get housing with? Are you totally open and you have no preferences because you haven't been to Montana before? We just like to explore that fit with you in the internship and see it ahead of time on the DICUS application.
So how is your application reviewed? So we have all of your applications are scored and reviewed by the 3 of us as the director team. And we have a selection committee that's comprised of preceptors and practicing RDNs that also review your applications. And so each application is reviewed by at least 5 people, including the 3 of us and then 2 committee members. And the scores are really based on not just scholastic achievement and work and volunteer experiences, but you as a whole. So your references, your personal statement, and as Lindsay said, that's 40% of the scoring, the application score is that personal statement. We really want to get to know you and not just see a narrative of your resume. for example, or your transcripts. We want to understand all of those things that Lindsay just highlighted to you. And so we also are looking at you as a whole person. And so we understand that things are expensive now. And so if you have less volunteer experience because you were working during school, those are good things to explain to us and help us understand. And we consider that. It's not necessarily scored against you. It's to help us understand sort of where you're coming from and what your background is, and how what a fit you might be for our program, and to ensure that our program, what we're offering, is a good fit for you as well. And as Kira said, we will begin interviewing on February 11th for this next round. So for 2025-26, we do have some dietetic internship only slots available, and those are for individuals who have that master's degree and the DPD verification statement. So we do have 3 slots available in Great Falls and Billings, and you can see where those are on the map there. And we have 1 slot in Sheridan, Wyoming. If that's a better fit for somebody, we can make that happen as well. For the 2025-27 cohort, the MSDI cohort, so those individuals entering into the master's program and then coming to supervised practice, we have 14 slots available in Billings, Missoula, Butte, Great Falls, and then again Sheridan by request.
And this is an overview of what our admissions have looked like over the past 10 years. So you'll notice in both the table and the graph here, the yellow is not selected and the blue is matched or selected. So within the not selected are individuals that did not choose MSU as well. It depends on how they ranked our program, and some of them went on to select other programs. Yeah, as we mentioned, interviews are coming up and we do interview almost all of our applicants. Something else to note is where our class size has decreased over the past couple years. We get a lot of early select applicants from MSU, so our MSU students are now making up about half of our class size.
So program cost is at a graduate online only rate. And so we're able to offer a total of about 23,000 for residents and 27.5 for non-residents. And the way this is billed out is that it's the tuition and fees are billed per semester. So it would be like 9 credits for the first semester plus fees, 9 credits for the second semester plus fees, and so on. And then in that final year, the program enrollment fee, that 11,220, is split in half. So you're in your second year during supervised practice, half of the program fee is paid in the fall and half of the program fee is paid in the spring. And that's really to fund everything it takes to get that dietetic internship put together. The program cost for the DI year, or for folks doing DI only rather, is just 12 graduate credits, because they'll be paying for 3 credits of 560 in the fall, 3 credits of internship in the fall, and then 6 credits of internship in the spring. So that's how the 12 credits are billed out: 6 in the fall, 6 in the spring. And then again, that program enrollment fee is split half in the fall and half in the spring. And so that total cost is around 16,000, 15,000 for residents and around 17 for non-residents. And so these are based on the 23-24 tuition year rates. And so in 2025, the Board of Regents will put out new tuition and fees schedules, and then we can update the fees based on that updated rates. And so once a student enters the program, for example, if you enter in 2025, your rates will continue in the cohort that you entered the program. And then financial aid. We encourage everyone to apply for the FAFSA federal student aid, and our program is eligible. You can contact our Office of Financial Aid for more information. And then scholarships. So we encourage everyone in the first year and second year apply for those academy scholarships, any scholarships you can get your hands on. We also have university scholarships and what's called the CAT scholarships platform. And typically we've been able to award 2 professional fellowships, professional master's degree fellowships, and those come in the form of a tuition waiver of 3 credits in the fall, 3 credits in the spring. And so that would just be discounted for each of those semesters. And then in the second year, there are scholarships just for the MDI students in addition to what's available to the college. And we give out about $20,000 a year to 9 to 13 recipients. And so those awards tend to be between $1,000 and $2,000. And every year, a few students get that Academy of Nutrition and Dietetic Scholarship too. So we always encourage applicants to go for that as well. Okay. Now it's time to hear from you. What questions do you have for us?
I'm not really sure if I have any questions. I'm super excited. It seems like a super cool program. It's very different versus all the other programs that I've seen. And I really appreciate the sustainability that it has to it. Really stands out. I guess the question I would have is kind of, I'm from Michigan. I'm not from Montana, but how does the living situation work? How have students in the past pulled that off, I guess, coming from out of state?
I would say it's changed a lot over time. So we haven't mentioned it yet, but Anna and I are also alums of the program. So I'll tell a little my story and then let Anna too. But I'm originally from Wisconsin. I did my undergrad in Minnesota. And back then it was Craigslist is how I found housing in homes with people. And it honestly felt like really safe and really easy. These days, folks are using Airbnb, hostels temporarily in the Bozeman area. A lot of people are using Furnished Finder too, which is something that was developed for like traveling medical professionals where they're furnished areas for like professional or semi-professional folks. And then that way folks aren't having to move out as much furniture and those kinds of things too. I'm sure there's more to add. So team, please add in.
Yeah, I would say we have a housing resource list that's populated by interns every year. And so they provide us the name and sort of the logistics of the experiences that they had out in finding housing, and we make that available to the incoming class as well. And yeah, for sure, furnished finders and people are rooming together. So we encourage you all to get to know each other well ahead of coming to supervised practice and making those connections and figuring out, you'll know who's going to be in the communities with you, and figuring out, if it's going to make sense for you to room with someone in that sense too. When I was in the program, I did house with 3 other interns, and it was really, really nice to have that support system kind of in the home environment too. So lots and lots of different options and scenarios that we see. Definitely the Bozeman area is trickier, but it works. It interns always make it work. And then typically there's just one more major move that would be to say, if you were placed in Billings, you would then and you would know this well ahead of time, the time where you would need to be in Billings, and you can make your arrangements there. And if by chance you have an experience that's outside of that community, maybe at one of our Indigenous rotations or a critical access hospital, typically the housing is either provided for you or we have made arrangements so that that's not always not something that you necessarily need to worry about. Sure, on top of that. So
I guess another something that was really interesting, the Indigenous rotations. What do those look like? I guess that sounds really interesting.
So one rotation that comes to mind is a 4-week rotation. And so 2 of those weeks are spent at an organization called Fast Blackfeet, which is a food sovereignty organization. And so they have a food pantry and they have a lot of initiatives in that community to help food access. And yeah, Lindsay's pulling that up. Very interesting, great organization. And so 2 weeks of the 4 would be spent there. And then 2 of the 4 weeks would be spent at the community hospital there, Blackfeet Community Hospital. And there's 2 dietitians on staff there that you would spend time with. And they do a lot of community outpatient and also some inpatient and manage the food service operation there as well. And the Blackfeet Community Hospital has student housing. It's a brand new facility that I think is opening next month, actually. And so it's a nice, safe, comfortable accommodations for you while you're maybe the 4 weeks outside of whatever other track you would be part of.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, we welcome you to ask any other questions that might come up. You can directly email any of us anytime, and just hope that you'll not hesitate to reach out if there's anything else we can do to help as you are considering your options.
And thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Yeah, great to meet you.
You as well.
Nice to meet you as well. And anyone who's watching virtually the recording, we welcome your questions as well. Our emails are available on our website, and we look forward to seeing your applications. Thanks for joining us.